How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Zach Hicks, your resident film nerd of horseshoehuddle.com and, of course, the Locked On Colts podcast. Today, we're going to dive into this Colts defense against the Miami Dolphins, and we're going to dive into one thing in particular, and that is drop 8 coverage. This is a coverage concept that the Colts utilized to great effect against Tua and the Miami Dolphins this past weekend, and it was the coverage call on the 2 interceptions, or I guess the coverage form on the 2 interceptions that the Colts got in this game. So to give a brief background on what drop 8 coverage is, in the college football game, the air raid offense, this ability to supplant the running game with the passing game and throw the ball 50, 60, 70 times a game like the great Mike Leach used to do, defenses had to figure out a way to combat the quick passing game that had the offense just spreading receivers out and, again, getting this ball out in like 2.2, 2.3 seconds. And if we look to the NFL game, an offense like the Miami Dolphins is fairly similar just in the way that they treat the quarterback position, where the quarterback is a point guard, a quarterback is a processor who just gets that ball out as fast as possible and keeps the offense on pace, moving up and down the field. And you can create explosives by just hitting windows instead of properly diagnosing what the defense is doing. So a counter to that is drop 8 coverage, where you're dropping 8 defenders into the mix, more bodies into coverage. You're sacrificing pass rush, but again, if you're going against a team that's throwing the ball in 2.2 seconds, your pass rush is probably not going to get there regardless. So if you're confident that the quarterback you're facing is not going to scramble, is not going to hold on to the ball and wait for things to get open because he's going to have that time, if you're confident that quarterback is still going to throw the ball quick no matter what, drop 8 coverage is a very good way to just get more players into those windows and suffocate the passing game. And that's what we saw from the Colts and Lou Anarumo this past weekend. So let's dive into a couple of these clips so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So the Colts are showing a 7-man coverage look pre-snap. This looks like a pretty standard, they might be rotating into a cover 2 or a 2-high look because of the spacing that we're getting from the safeties. But, you're getting a general sense that this is going to be a 7-man coverage, 4 defensive linemen on the field. You're not expecting drop 8 here, because even in the past with Lou Anarumo, when he does drop 8, he'll typically have 3 defensive linemen and an extra linebacker mugging that he'll just bail out into coverage. But here he's got 4 defensive linemen to keep that potential, run game coverage in case the Dolphins were to motion a guy into the backfield. And we're showing 7 in coverage. Laiatu Latu is selling like he's going to be rushing, but then he is dropping into that little that hole right there over the middle. And as that rat defender, he's essentially working as a spy, getting another hand just in coverage there. Maybe he's going to be eyeing this route in case it comes across the middle. But again, it's all about just getting more defenders into windows. That is the most important aspect here. So when we look at how this play develops, it's a bit of a cover 3 by the Colts, a little of aggressive cover 3. He's got eyes on the outside here. We got the over top safety, and we got Nick Cross dropping into this middle hook zone window. I would like Nick Cross to have a little bit better feel for the player coming across the middle, because again, this is the Miami Dolphins. They want to attack those in-breaking windows, so I would like Cross to have a better feel. And I think Tua actually does a good job of diagnosing where that window is going to be, but the thing that probably throws him off the most is having Cross just having his own eyes and getting back and drifting, because Cross isn't worried about anything under here because they have that rat defender. So this gives Cross that ability to drift as much as possible and get that depth over the middle. And I think just that slight amount of depth that Cross gets leads to Tua throwing this off his back foot a little bit. He sails it because he feels like he has to layer this ball over Cross. And as a result, he sails it over his receiver, right to Cameron Bynum over the top for the interception. So the coverage wasn't perfect here by the Colts. Again, you want to see Cross probably just get a little bit better feel for what's coming his way. He does get like the proper depth, but again, if you want to get your body in front of that receiver rather than just cutting off right here, get really cut off where that receiver is going to go rather than cutting off where the receiver currently is. So I think this could have been a little bit better from Cross, but again, he gets his own eyes, he gets the depth you're looking for, and just getting that depth and squeezing that route the way he does leads to the overthrow from Tua, and Tua throws it right to Cameron Bynum, who's sitting over the top, and then we get the awesome celebration and all the fun stuff that comes with an interception from Cameron Bynum. Getting to this next clip, though, this is probably Lou Anarumo's most devilish excuse or devilish reason or whatever just for doing drop 8. This is just insane what he does here. So again, we're getting that 7-man coverage. Look, it looks like we're going to be locking the backside in the 3-by-1. But then we see the shift to the other side that makes the Colts kind of move their defense, and we're getting the safety dropping down over top of the outside receiver. We're getting the nickel to the weak side instead of to the strong play side. And the Colts are, again, just showing that 7-man coverage look. Now, what they do is they bring the will linebacker late to be a rusher here. So now the Dolphins are getting a blitz read. They're getting the blitz like, oh, they're bringing that extra guy, but we're dropping both defensive ends into these like little hook zones over the middle. So we got hook zone, curl. I mean, you could say curl flat for either of these guys as well. We got underneath here, and we're basically doing a 2 over top of 5. With this defense. You call this cover 3 because this guy would probably carry. If you're looking at what they do with the play strength side, I think both of these this corner and the strong safety are just aggressively matching anything breaking out or anything breaking vertical. So these guys are getting on top of those routes. You got those locked up, and then over the middle, it's just bodies over the middle. This is what the Colts wanted to do against Tua, was throw as many bodies as possible over the middle of the field. So if you look at how this play develops here, the Dolphins are trying to get this high-low with these 2 receivers, but the Colts have body, 4 bodies over the middle with eyes on the quarterback, reading what he is doing. You even have the deep safety protecting against any kind of thing breaking vertical. And with 4 defenders covering 2 players in these windows over the middle, it's hard for a quarterback to get this ball out. So even when I think he makes the right decision, because right here he's deciding we're going to throw it to this receiver, and Zaire Franklin's breaking down. You got Leatu Latu looking like he's going to break down. I mean, this is probably the right decision when he decides to throw it. It's just Leatu Latu makes a great play by recognizing that Franklin is the one breaking down, and he's able to step back into that window. But, again, this is another example where, like, even if everyone's not operating perfectly within this drop 8 coverage, I think ideally you'd rather have Franklin be the one drifting back in this window and Latu coming out to underneath here. But even with guys not operating perfectly, when you are just dropping so many bodies into the middle of the field and daring this quarterback to, hey, again, we have 4 guys with zone eyes in these hook zones, and you're going to try to force it to one of those 2 players that you have running free in there, like, it's tough. The windows get so much tighter in the NFL when you have this many players dropping into zone coverage. So this is just such a good curveball that Louis Anarumo brings, and we see Leatu Latu make the big play. Again, not perfect coverage by the Colts, but because Latu is able to break free and understands what Franklin is doing here, he's able to come away with the interception on the play, and the Colts get another big turnover to extend that lead in the second half. Now we get to our final 2 clips here with drop 8 coverage, and they both come in the red zone late in this game. And again, this is so crazy to think that a team is going to drop 8 players into coverage in the red zone, because the Dolphins are on the 6-yard line. If you're dropping 8, you're very vulnerable to the run game. You're very vulnerable to inside runs here because you just have people not in the box, people moving. But Louis Anarumo took that risk against a team like the Miami Dolphins just to get as many people into that middle coverage, saying that we'll survive the run game as long as we can take away that passing game. We will survive in this showing. So again, the Colts look like they're showing 7 here. Might be showing a little bit of a box check here, and you're definitely going to lock on that backside against the tight end. But we get the motion. Really cool switch here from the Colts. Instead of having the slot corner travel with Tyreek Hill, we actually get a complete switch where Cameron Bynum, the free safety over the top, comes down and takes Tyreek Hill on this motion. And Kenny Moore now rotates to being that deep safety. So he's going to be slicing that middle. He is taking away anything aggressively that's going to be breaking inside. We got some lock coverage coming up here on the outside. And basically what we're going to have is locked man coverage on these 5 pass catchers if you count right here. And then we're going to get a little bit of a triangle zone here in the middle that's just going to take away anything that could be breaking inside. So again, we're forcing Tua to throw the ball outside the numbers, or if he wants to throw the ball in the middle of the field, again, we're locking up everything here. Everyone's got a man on. And then we have 3 zone defenders. You're not going to have the numbers anywhere inside. And if you want to go outside, our corners are playing that. They're playing that hard. We got Charvarius Ward is aggressively playing on that outside shoulder of that receiver. Xavier Howard is driving on this outside throw. We got outside leverage. The Colts are funneling things to this triangle in the middle. and daring the Dolphins to throw it there. And as a result, they're going to force this throw to the outside that Xavier Howard is driving on, and no completed pass there on 1st and goal. Now we get to 2nd and goal on the same series, and the Colts, like lo and behold, are going to be dropping 8. We're going to drop another defensive end into coverage, and it's going to be Laiatu Latu yet again. Laiatu Latu really flexing those linebacker muscles a little bit in this game. So once we get to where the clip is, I mean, we got all these guys in coverage. We got some dime coverage here too, because I think this is Blackman out there. This is just across the board. We're dropping 8 guys in. We're going to get into this cover 2. We're going to be matching this route, getting a little cone coverage on top of this here. Multiple defenders in these hook zones to take away anything in breaking. Tua does a good job actually of getting this to an open window, but because Kenny Moore understands where his help is, he's able to undercut this route. He's able to play aggressively, and he's able to knock this ball free for an incomplete pass. But yeah, the Colts dropped 8 guys in coverage quite a bit. So I think if anyone was watching this game saying, oh, the Colts pass rush wasn't really there, they weren't able to really generate much against Tua and the Dolphins offensive line, I think that was kind of by design for this Colts defense, where they knew that Tua wanted to get the ball out quick. So they wanted to get as many bodies into coverage as possible, take away those throwing lanes, because Tua's still going to throw it quick, even if you rush 1 guy. If you rush 2 guys, you rush 3 guys, that ball is still going to come out of his hands pretty quick. Lou made that bet, and the Colts were able to pay it off in a big way on Sunday. So I think you were able to see everything great in these couple clips, from 2 interceptions to standing tall in the red zone twice. Louis Anarumo had this Colts defense playing well, utilizing drop coverage to take away those in-breakers, take away the middle of the field, and muddy those reads for Tua, and the Colts were able to get that big win, 33-8 in week 1. Hopefully we see a repeat of this performance in week 2 against the Denver Broncos.